what we want to do this year. Part of the reason for that was obviously we had a disappointing season last year in terms of results. The coaching group here, along with some senior players, had a very critical review of that season at the end of the season, and we identified a couple of areas that we needed to move forward in. We put some detail down about what that meant, and that's what we've been working towards so far this season. We're in our 7th week of our pre-season, so we started pretty early. We felt we needed to, particularly with the mix in our squad. There's a lot of work for us to undertake and get underway, and there's still a lot of work for us to do, but we've got clear identification of what we want to do this season. But I think we don't want to be in a position where we want to talk about that. We'd rather show it on the field.
Three guys around United, you've obviously got very much kind of boot room philosophy, homegrown guys who understand the Scarlets, which is a different approach to what's happened previously. Can you explain why you felt the need to do that and why you got Easterby, McBride, Jones?
Yeah, the policy here at the Scarlets is quite clear. I think over the last 2 years in particular, we've identified that we're going to develop our talent from within our region where we can, or any young Welsh talent which requires opportunities. Initially, I felt it was important that we brought a coach of regarded quality into the setup, and that's where John Muggleton came into it. He worked with us for 2 years, but I think it's time that we move on now. And what you've got here, and what I've got around me, is 3 real quality people who have proven themselves at the highest level, both in terms of playing and in Robin's career in terms of his coaching as well at the top end. And that's where you learn a lot about yourself, because there's huge pressure at that end of the game, and Robin's been able to do that for the last 5 or 6 years. In terms of Mark and Simon, real quality guys who are 100% dedicated to the cause of the Scarlets, will give everything they've got to it, and they're quality people who will develop within this group. And I think it's absolutely the right thing to do. We're not only going to develop our rugby talent, but also our coaching talent from within, and that's the way we're going to go as the Scarlets. I think we've made those points quite clear to everybody over the last couple of seasons, certainly from a playing perspective, and now it comes about that we're also going down that route from a coaching perspective as well. And I think what underpins it all is not where they're from, but the character and the quality of the people is as important.
How does it work with Robin? Because it's a World Cup year, there'll be a lot of international kind of commitments in terms of Wales. How do you manage that in the region, and are you comfortable with that, or is there a debate to be had with that? No,
there's no debate at all. Right at the start of the contract, we've been clear as to Robin's commitments. We've outlined exactly where they lie, and for the vast majority of the time he will be with us, but leading into major events with Wales, and throughout those events he'll be with them. So we're quite clear where the cut-offs are. We're quite clear where Robin's holidays are, because that's important as well. But I think it's very important in a situation like this, which could prove tricky, that we were able to outline it right at the outset, at the contract level, which we've done. Everybody's happy and agreed to it, so we know exactly what Robin's commitments are. Robin knows what they are, Wales know what they are, and we're all happy with that.
Rob, why do you want to do this?
I think it's a good challenge for me personally, and there's a school of thought that there are 3 types of people in the world. Those that like to make things happen, those that like to watch things happening, and those who wonder what's happening. And I've fallen into all 3 categories at some stage. I'm not saying, but I'm definitely not want to get stimulated by watching a lot of things. I'm very much a hands-on. Like to get my hands dirty and roll my sleeves up, and that's something I get my teeth into. So this provides me the opportunity, and I think from a national perspective, Warren is forwards-orientated coach really, so he can link up with all the regional coaches, etc., with regards to providing feedback and having a look at the other team's performances in more detail. So it provides me with the opportunity of just expanding a little bit on my role from a national perspective at regional level, and working with some good youngsters, and some good coaches as well. So it'll benefit me, and hopefully in turn then that'll benefit the players that I coach.
Did you speak to Sean about it at all?
Pardon?
Did you speak to Sean about it at all?
Sean Edwards?
Yeah.
Well, Sean is definitely one of those people who falls in the bracket of making things happen. I know he's not a great watcher, so you know, he said, "Well, what do you do when you know with Wales, like, you know?" Yeah, you know, Sean managed to juggle the two. I think it's not one rule for, you know, suits all. I think you've got to be a certain type of personality, I think, to be able to fulfil both roles. I know it's going to be hard work, but until I put myself in that position, I'm not going to know. So, you know, for this season, it'll give me a good idea of all the demands, etc., at regional level, and to see them from both sides of the fence, you know, and you know, get that understanding from national to regional, and vice versa from regional to national. I think it's healthy, and you know, who knows? I mean, you know, it could be. I'm not saying it could be the way forward or anything, but you know, it's an experiment that perhaps other coaches might want to pursue in the future and strengthen the bonds between the union and the regions in the process as well.
Do you think you can handle the fact that you may be divided in terms of your commitment to Wales and the Scarlets?
Well,
if the Scarlets have a rough time, or the Wales have a rough time, the first thing that people are going to say is, who are you committed to?
You live in that world, you know. You know, ever since moving down from North Wales, I've been living in that sort of environment, and you can't do right for doing wrong, really, at some stage. So, you know, I'm confident in my ability, and I'll be criticised whatever I do, you know. So I think it's good for me. I think it's the right move for me at this stage. It gives me, like I said, an opportunity to broaden my coaching, if you like, and try and become a better all-round coach, a better rounded coach then, and you know, to have that week-to-week challenge, do it a bit more often. You know, you could argue perhaps I'd be more comfortable by not doing it or staying in the comfort zone, but I've never done that, and I'm not going to start doing it now either.
How do you deal with a player like Rob McCusker who will say to you, what do I need to play for the Wales back row, in the Wales back row? He does everything that you ask of him, but he still doesn't get in the team.
Yeah, well, that's all about man management, and you know, how we deal with players like that. It'd be a great headache to have, you know, especially if the other back rows in Wales are playing well. You know, my view is one, you know, Warren Gatland might have another view. So I don't think that's not something I'm losing sleep over, honestly. It'd be a good headache to have, and
But you acknowledge there will be an issue where a player, you know, worth his salt will come to you and say, well, actually, what am I going to do to get in the Wales setup who will be a Scarlet? He might not get the call he wants, and he comes to you and says, well, what do I have to do? It's an interesting kind of dilemma for you, one that you're ready for.
Yeah, I'll be ready for it, you know, whenever it happens. You know,
they do it at regional level as well. You know, you've got people competing for positions, and they'll do exactly the same, so it's no different.
You're comfortable with this, Nigel, obviously, in terms of what he can give, what Rob can give to the Scarlets. Can you just tell us exactly what it is that you want from him?
Well, you know, Rob brings his own dynamic, really. He's got a lot of experience at international level. You know, there's not many people who have been in that environment for as long. But also, he belongs to all the right values that we believe in. He's prepared to work and develop the group that we have. We know we've got a lot of work to do, but we firmly 100% believe we're doing the right thing, and it will pay dividends. We certainly believe that we can improve dramatically from last season in a number of areas. And you know, Robin is actually going to guide this group of forwards forward. I think it's an exciting challenge for him because we have got a lot of potential there.
Any more?
Captain, Nigel?
Yeah, no, not yet. I'm in the process of discussing that with the coaches, but also there's a couple of discussions that have to take place with individuals as well, players, just to see whether, you know, the candidates are prepared for it, are ready for it, and you know, to really ask them what they're going to bring to it, because it's a really important job. As I've said, we've been hugely disappointed with our last couple of seasons. We know it hasn't been good enough, but we have changed dramatically, and there's going to be a big responsibility for whoever takes that mantle forward. You know, it's not a decision that we're going to take lightly.